Welcome to FedScoop TV. I'm Wyatt Cash, and we're here at the Red Hat 2016 Government Symposium. And joining us is Jason Ford. Jason's the Chief Technology Officer for Black Mesh. Thanks for being with us.
Anytime, thank you.
So we're talking about all things open source here, and my first question for you is, I'd like to get your sense on the strides open source has made in the federal government, and maybe a little of your sense for where you see it go over the next couple of years.
Yeah, certainly. So obviously with this administration currently in place, open source has been a huge push, and we've seen that in several websites, public-facing websites, so whitehouse.gov, also with recovery.gov. You know, that open source push from those early years, being in 2008, 2009, have then proliferated open source software, I think, even more into other spaces, such as, you know, as we heard from several speakers today from other agencies, you know, having 100% cloud push, getting all their on-prem, their older technologies changed from, you know, their older 8-year, 10-year, almost ancient systems into something that's a little bit more modern, as you know, these open data and cloud first initiatives are being pushed out.
And do you have a sense that it'll pick up the pace as we move over into
Certainly.
the next administration, or at least in the next couple of years in government?
Well, I think that's to be determined on the administration, obviously, right? So I mean, if it's more of an open administration and they want to have those initiatives keep push forward, I think it will certainly pick up pace. I don't think that anyone can stop it at this point. Given that the very nature of what open source has done for not only citizen engagement, but also with how those services are even deployed and how those are actually put in place today.
Well, let's talk next about cybersecurity. There's often the contradiction of perceptions that because it's open source, it somehow is less secure, and we kind of know that's really not true. What's your take on that?
Yeah, that's certainly the case. The more closed it is and the closed off aspects of that, it's actually hurt on how someone can actually mitigate those issues that are happening for every entity. So by opening those up, now you're leveraging a whole community. Versus only doing it with, let's say, 50 or 100 people. Now you could have tens of thousands of people looking for these vulnerabilities, looking for these holes, and then try to remediate those so that you don't have those issues being isolated and that you don't know about them, or maybe shadow IT is your problem, you know, and then you're trying to find different techniques, you know, leveraging that code that people are publishing on things like GitHub, or, you know, NSA and CIA are publishing those tools that they're using regularly. Leveraging those in your internal infrastructure, it can only be an advantage for you as an entity as well.
And certainly the community is getting larger and larger. A lot more eyes on the ball there, if you will.
Absolutely.
Let's talk next about IT modernization. It's been a big topic of discussion with U.S. CIO Tony Scott. The aging nature of our infrastructure is well documented. How do you see open source contributing to helping IT modernization?
Well, as you know, as we see from multiple entities here today, you know, talking about how they're doing their modernization, you know, they have to update these systems. I mean, just our national defense system alone, talking about having, you know, archaic 25, 30-year-old technology, you know, those types of things really can drive innovation, and them using open source to do that makes sense from not only from a cost perspective, but also from just, you know, again, community support, right? You're having more than just one or two people that know how to do that application or that code. Now you have multiple people, either from a talent pool that you're going to pull from, or from a contractor base that you need to acquire for that. So from an agency's perspective, there's only positives there on whenever they modernize. Now they have a larger talent pool to pull from in order to implement those things. And also ongoing, you know, the more people, obviously you don't have a scarcity problem of talent, you know, then it drives up costs of that talent, you know, versus having, you know, a wide variety of people to choose from.
I think you make a very good point about the talent challenge, because government's going to continue to face that one way or the
Absolutely.
other. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, lastly, what other areas, for example, collaboration, mobility, speed to development, do you see open source playing a larger role in the government?
Yeah, as these technologies take hold, right? I mean, we've been hearing about a lot of agencies just trying to get out of on-prem solutions and moving into virtualization in general, whether that's containers or whether that's just flat virtualization with virtual instances. As that continues to pick up, right, and as those technologies, we've moved from a waterfall methodology to a more agile methodology on how to deliver these services. I think it's only going to become faster. Those deployments are going to become faster, which is then going to allow, again, from what we heard this morning, those updates on things that like Zika virus and especially in healthcare organizations, or pushing out that data to the citizens a lot faster. That's all going to get just shortened rapidly. No longer is it going to take 70 days to deploy a system and have to go through a long procurement cycle. That speed is going to happen just because of the very nature of open source and how that community has those methodologies baked into them at their core. You have to adopt those methodologies when you adopt open source. So you as an organization are going to have a behavioral change regardless, just because you went in that path.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, Jason Ford with Blackmesh, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
I'm Wyatt Cash with FedScoop. Look for more of our coverage at fedscoop.com. Thanks for being with us.